England in April. Even here, in Southampton, in a town full of soldiers and sailors, in a country at war, April is still April. Sunlight and shadow chase each other across the sea ramparts, while the waves dance, mischievous, sparkling, to welcome in the yearly miracle of an English spring. The sun shines down on the house in Castle Square and on the garden behind it. It shines on the careful, orderly rows of the shrubbery, on the young leaves, and on a small child in a pinafore, squawking and flapping her arms like wings, then crouching to scoop up a handful of gravel and offer it to her companion, as astonished and enchanted as if she's found jewels. Everything seems new at this time of the year, even in this old-fashioned house. Everything seems possible. A few weeks more, and the lilac will be out, and after the lilac, the long yellow fronds of the laburnum, and then the roses. The buds are still furled tight, but buffeted by the salt breezes, they're beginning to stir. The other inhabitants of the house are stirring too. They have been a dutiful lot in Castle Square these 3 years past. The man of the house has spent much of the time at sea, as an officer in His Majesty's Navy, leaving all his many womenfolk together, his young wife, his tiny daughter, his widowed mother, his 2 unmarried sisters, and a family friend who had nowhere else to go. A house full of women, they have been a comfort to each other during his absences. His brothers have helped to support them, but now, at long last, the richest, newly bereaved, newly generous, is offering help of a more practical kind. A cottage for his mother and sisters, rent-free, on one of his Hampshire estates, and until that should be made ready, a visit to Godmersham, his grand house in Kent. The captain has done his duty. The Southampton household is to be broken up. They remain for only a few weeks more. The lilac, the laburnum, and the roses will flower here without them. The child has thrown herself onto the path, legs kicking in fury. Her companion lifts her, and, turning toward the house, points up to one of the windows. The little girl exclaims with delight. The woman watching at the window, a brown-haired, brown-eyed woman of 33, caught idling when she ought to be working, waves down at her niece and mouths an apology to her sister. She turns back to the room, to the neat bed with its dimity cover, the old chair, and the small rickety table, which are all that could be spared from downstairs, and to the letter that she hasn't even begun to write. She's never had any cause to write a letter of business before. At the Abbey School in Reading, she sat through hours of lessons in French and sewing. A year did she spend there? It can't have been much more. The garden, the tall trees, are vivid in her memory. So, too, the view to the ruins of the church, the other girls bundled in shawls giggling round the fireplace, dying of laughter, as they used to say. The big girls had lessons, though not, she suspects, very good ones, in all the usual feminine accomplishments, dancing and drawing and music. But if letter-writing was taught at the Abbey, she doesn't recall it. And before that, at Mrs. Cawley's, well, of Mrs. Cawley's school, here, in this very town, she remembers little. Only fever dreams, and her sister, Cassandra, being sick too, and their cousin, Jane Cooper, and more than anything else, the pain that twisted and twisted in her bowels. They nearly died of the typhoid fever.